Building on this belief, his successors went on to institutionalize a community meal, dig wells to supply water, and supplicate for the welfare of all. The need to show kindness towards all went on to shape Sikh views of socio-political ecological ethics. Working on this, the Sikh came into clash with the local rulers and eventually reached the conclusion that they have to establish a kingdom of their own to bring divine justice on this earth. As part of this, Gurinder Singh, the 10th personal guru, introduced a new ceremony of the nectar of the double-edged sword. Undergoing this ceremony implies that the person is willing to make a special commitment, which in the contemporary context means following the Sikh way of life in a strict way. The Sikhs are to pray 3 times a day and keep 5 items. That's a sort of, they don't cut their hair. The whole idea is that the body should remain the way it is. And then the hair should be kept clean. And this sort of, I'll give you the present day version of this. Everyone must carry a comb, and then they carry weaponry. The sword is obligatory to carry, and then this is the bracelet. And originally they were part of the weaponry. This would protect the hand, the right hand, and the sword was 36 inches. But over time, these are the present-day versions. Sikh enterprising spirit encouraged some of them to move outside the region. They had begun to settle down in major trading centers of the Mughal period by the end of the 16th century, and they continued to migrate to other places. The coming of the British to the Punjab in the mid-19th century created opportunities for travel overseas. The earliest reference to the landing of the Sikhs on the west coast appears in the San Francisco Chronicle of April 6, 1899. Effectively navigating their way through racial and legal discrimination, the Sikh numbers continued to rise and reached around 7,000 in the following decades. These people largely farmed in California. In 1920, report listed 85,000 acres in Sacramento and San Joaquin, and 30,000 in the Imperial Valley under their control. The phase of settlement was followed by a period of great difficulty, resulting in a decrease of Sikh presence. Some chose to go back to the Punjab, some died, and by the mid-1940s, only around 1,500 Sikhs were left in California. With the passage of Loose Cellar Bill in 1946, the community began to slowly grow. The next 20 years raised the numbers to around 6,000 Sikhs. A major phase of expansion began with the Immigration Act of 1965. At present, the community comprises over 350,000. I think it's hard to get the right figures, but somewhere there, they would like to give 500,000, even 1 million, but I have the feeling it's somewhere around 350,000. Both individually and collectively, the Sikhs have done well in this country. There are cases of outstanding achievements. Dalip Singh Saund was a 3-term congressman from the Imperial Valley. He was a Sikh. On the collective level, the Sikhs also tell a story of considerable success. Being a congregational tradition, the Sikhs build Sikh temples wherever they go. The first Sikh temple was built in Stockton. At that point, the hub of Sikh activity. I remember visiting the temple, and the person with me, he was a professor of philosophy, asking me, why Stockton? And I took him around, and I said, do you see something? He said, no. I said, don't you see the railway line? There it is. People could come from all over and meet twice a year. It remained the only one built in the first half of the century. The second one came in the Imperial Valley in 1946 or 48, I think. As the community grew in the subsequent decades, so did the number of Sikh temples. There are over 20 in Southern California alone, and the number in the US has crossed 100. This means one Sikh temple roughly for every 400 some people. The Sikhs have contributed millions of dollars toward the construction of their places of worship and have created impressive structures, leaving a mark on the local landscape. When you cross the Bay Bridge in San Francisco, El Sobrantes Sikh temple stands at the top of the hill and symbolizes the community's pride in the area. I've sort of seen that several times driving with a Sikh, and he's showing me, "Do you see it?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And the institution of Sikh temple has always served both as the religious and communal center of the community, and it continues to perform that function in the US. The move overseas has begun to leave its imprint on Sikh religious and cultural life. We spoke about Sikh sacred language and script earlier. In the changed circumstances, the language used in congregational worship can no longer be Punjabi, as the children don't read, speak, or understand it. Many Sikh temples use English to involve children in the worship service. The birth and mortuary rituals have to be performed differently, as the traditional ones can't work in the setting of hospitals and funeral homes. The festivals of Thanksgiving and New Year Eve have entered the Sikh calendar. Alongside the Sikh flag, the American flag is now used on cars, houses, or even Sikh temples. Time and the American environment, over time, the American environment is leaving its impact in interesting ways. Small group of people of Euro-American descent joined Sikhism in the 1970s. They took up this path under the spiritual guidance of Harbhajan Singh Yogi, a Punjabi Sikh who came to California in 1968. Since the Sikhs have been primarily a non-proselytizing tradition since 1700, this is an interesting new development as I speak. The Sikh community is in the process of a transition from a regional Punjabi group into a world community as well as a world religion, and it faces interesting challenges and opportunities in the years ahead. The process of maintaining Sikh identity, explaining its contents to children, growing up away from the Punjab and the mainstream people in adopted lands is not simple. It provides an opportunity as well as a challenge to reflect on what constitutes core religious beliefs and practices shorn of Punjabi cultural patterns. The unfolding of this process marks the next phase of the crystallization of Sikh self-understanding. Thank you.